Hello, and thank you for taking the time to learn a little more about MIFA's individual events. You may choose to watch this video all the way through or use these time codes to skip ahead to a topic of your interest. To get started, let's go over some of the terms and acronyms used in our event. First off, MIFA, or Michigan Interscholastic Forensic Association, is our governing organization. Not only does MIFA run our IE program, but also runs debate and theater events. Just a side note, your MIFA membership is all-inclusive, so feel free to look into and compete in those events as well. Individual events, or IE, is commonly referred to as forensic or forensics. IE is comprised of 12 distinct events split broadly into two branches: interpretation categories and public address categories. In interpretation, or interp categories, students perform the work of another author. These categories can be individual or group presentations. In public address categories, students are the authors of the material which they present. These speeches are commonly divided into two categories. Prepared public address categories allow students to present work with unlimited amount of preparation time prior to tournaments. The limited preparation, or LP events, restrict the amount of time a competitor has to prepare their speech. Let's break down the competition events a little more. There are 4 individual interpretation events. MIFA uses the genre of literature to define each category. Let's take a look at what makes these events different. In storytelling, competitors use children's literature as the source material for their performance. This children's literature may be suited for children of all ages. In poetry, competitors use a single poem or a compilation of poems as source material. They can be classic, modern, narrative, performance, or slam poetry, or any combination that demonstrates a theme for their performance. In dramatic interpretation, or DI, the source material is from a play written for the stage or electronic media. This basically boils down to material from a play or screenplay. Competitors may select a single character monologue, or they may choose to portray more than one character in their cutting. Prose competitors choose material from a work of fiction, such as a novel or short story, or nonfiction, such as an essay or memoir. A rule of thumb that can point you in the right direction is that prose simply is not one of the other categories' literature. Those are the differences in source material, but what are the similarities? All the events have a suggested time limit of 5 to 8 minutes, do not allow props or costumes, and are limited to only one performer. If competitors prefer to perform with another person or group, take a look at these events. Duo interpretation allows 2 students to perform together. They can choose from any genre of literature. However, there are some limits to the performance. No direct eye contact with one another and no touching. This event's suggested time limit is 7 to 10 minutes. Multiple interpretation is an event where 3 to 8 performers work together to perform selections from any type of literature. There is one caveat though. Every other year, there is a restriction where material from musical theater or film is not allowed. The same physical restrictions for duo apply to multiple as well. No eye contact or touching. Groups have 10 to 15 minutes, suggested time of course, to complete their performance. Regardless of the event, no competitors in interpretation events may use costumes or props in their performance. There are 3 prepared public address events where students write and practice their speeches before attending or arriving at a tournament. Competitors often revise the same speech throughout the season. All of these events have a suggested time limit of 5 to 8 minutes. The events are defined by the purpose of the speech. An informative speech does just that, informs the audience. The speech should be designed to clearly explain, define, or illustrate a particular subject. Because of the basic purpose of the speech is to inform, material that is argumentative, persuasive, or entertaining may be used only to illustrate, enliven, or clarify the information the speaker presents. Competitors may use visual aids to enhance their presentations, but are limited to those aids which either rest on a single easel or on the performer themselves. Sales speeches allow students to persuade the audience to purchase a real product or service. Sales speakers must follow the same visual aid restrictions as informative speakers. Only one easel, and all materials must originate on that easel or on the performer's person. The final prepared public address speech is oratory. This event asks speakers to persuasively investigate a topic. The oration may eulogize a person, alert the audience to a threatening danger, strengthen the devotion of the audience to an accepted cause, or, most commonly, present a solution to a problem. Each of the 3 limited preparation events vary based on the type of prompt given and time for preparation. Impromptu speakers are given a prompt in the style of a quote, resolution, or visual prompt. Competitors are given 6 minutes to prepare and deliver a speech. They may divide this time however they choose. However, most speakers try to leave at least 4 minutes to deliver their speech. Extemporaneous or extemp speakers are given a prompt in the form of a question of international or domestic importance and 30 minutes to prepare their answer in the form of a speech. The suggested time is 4 to 7 minutes. Students competing in broadcasting are provided a packet of articles to use as material for their presentation. During the 30 minutes of preparation, competitors select, cut, and organize the articles they will present. There is one article that is specially marked that must be included in the presentation. Competitors are also required to write an original 1-minute editorial. The total performance, including the editorial, should be 5 minutes. Before we can get into the specifics of scoring, let's go over a few more terms you may want to know. Here are some vocabulary words you may encounter at a tournament. A critique sheet is a half sheet of paper where a judge provides written feedback for each performer. This feedback is returned to the coaches at the end of each tournament. The ballot is a document that a judge uses to report his or her scores to the tournament's tabulation room, or tab room. There is a unique ballot for each event, which provides useful information and rules specifically tailored to that event. At most tournaments, competitors will compete in 3 preliminary rounds, or prelims, after which the scores are compiled to determine semifinalists and then, ultimately, finalists. When a competitor advances to either of the elimination rounds, they are said to have broken. For example, your poet may be very excited when she runs to tell you that she broke finals. Now that you know a little more terminology and about what competitors will be presenting for each of these categories, let's look at how the judges score each round. In this explanation, I will be scoring a round of 6 competitors. The judge will assign both a rank and a percentage to each performer in the round. Judges will rank the performers using the numbers 1 through 4. With 1 being the top performer in the round. Because there are 6 performers in this round, the 4th place student will receive a rank of 4, and the performers in 5th and 6th place will also receive a rank of 4. Each performer will also be awarded a percentage score. There are just a few rules regarding how these percentages are assigned. 1. All scores must be whole numbers within the range of 75 to 100. 2. The scores awarded in the range of 75 through 79 are reserved for special circumstances, such as when a contestant fails to complete his or her presentation, exhibits inappropriate behavior, or performs highly inappropriate material. 3. The contestant who receives the rank of 1 must receive the percentage of 100. 4. The other percentage scores must descend as the ranks ascend. 5. All percentage scores must be unique. No ties are allowed. A common misconception is that the percentage scores align with the traditional classroom grading scale. However, this is not the case. A judge is simply adding more nuance to the rank which was assigned. This percentage score also indicates the order of the competitors who received the ranks of 4. Here are 2 examples for how a round of 6 competitors could be scored.
The first thing to note in this sample set of scores is that the scores are listed in the performance order, not the judge's preference order. In this sample, the scores follow a straight down pattern. The rank of 1 must and does have the percentage of 100. As we ascend through the ranks, the percentages descend without any ties. When reading the scores, typically we just say the rank followed by the percentage. In this straight down scoring method, we see that Speaker 2 receives the 1/100, Speaker 4 a 299, Speaker 1 a 398, Speaker 3 a 497, Speaker 6 a 496, and Speaker 5 a 495. In this second sample set of scores, the judge chose to add some space between the percentages, or as many refer to it as skipping. When a judge chooses to skip percentages, the same rules apply. As the ranks ascend, the percentages must descend. The 1 must receive the 100, and no percentages can tie. The scores are reported in performance order, but I'll announce them in judge preference order. Speaker 3 receives the 1/100, Speaker 5 a 299, Speaker 6 a 397. Notice how the judge chose to descend from 99 to 97 here. Speaker 4 a 495, Speaker 2 a 494, and Speaker 1 a 493. These examples show 2 different judging philosophies. While coaches and judges typically have strong feelings about which of these philosophies is right, both are perfectly within the rules of scoring.
The MIFA runs the championship series for IE. This includes your regional tournament and the state tournament. These events typically occur in April and early May. You may be thinking, but I thought forensics started in January, February, or March. Well, you're not wrong. There are typically several invitationals over those months where students can perform, compete, and receive feedback before the championship series begins. Each invitational tournament is locally controlled. The school or director who is hosting the invitational works independently of our organization. However, most of these tournaments choose to use the MIFA's rules for categories and MIFA procedures to run their event. Thank you for taking the time to learn about individual events. If you have any questions or want to know how to get more involved, contact your IE regional representative or the MIFA office. We look forward to your future participation.